Hi everyone, salamlar. Today we are in London, in United Kingdom, and we are filming the first episode of my new show, which called Meet the Interesting Azerbaijanis living in the United Kingdom. I have a really interesting guest lineup that I'm extremely looking forward to share with you, and lots of conversation, memories, insights, and just a backstage of life in UK as an Azerbaijani. And not only, it's also about what we bring on the table and what we try to achieve and what my guests are looking for to find in life while building their dreams and building their careers. Not only, it's also about what we bring on the table. And I'm extremely blessed that I've had this opportunity to make this show and make this show true. Thanks for everyone who've been supporting me for first day, and thanks to the Azerbaijani community all over the world for coming together and uniting all the time when we need this. This is one of those occasions when we united, and I invite all Azerbaijanis to always stay united and to always bring our voice into the table and always speak loudly about where we are from, about who we are, and about our heritage, because the world needs to hear more of us. So today, the first guest of my show is Ayfra Mantho. Ifra is a really interesting person and authentic personality. Ifra is one of the not many mixed heritage Azerbaijanis. Ifra is half Azerbaijani, half Congolese, and currently living in the UK in London. Ifra been in the UK for over 5 years now, and she successfully graduated from 2 degrees right here in the United Kingdom. Not only, Ifra is really passionate and ambitious about her future. There's so many dreams, so many plans, so many interesting projects coming up, which are really interesting for all of us, and especially to hear them from such a strong-minded Azerbaijani woman. Ayfra, I'd like to know you more. So if you'd like to introduce yourself to our lovely audience.
Yeah. First of all, I want to say thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
It's a big honor to be the first guest on the show. So, my name is Ifra. I am 22 years old. I'm a mixed Azerbaijani. I'm half Azerbaijan. My mom is Azerbaijani. My dad is Congolese. I was born in Baku and I've lived my whole life in Azerbaijan. I went there for kindergarten, for school, up until 17 years old. And then at 17, I moved to UK for university. And so far, I'm living here for 5 years. Now we're in London, and yeah.
And keep going, keep driving, and keep embracing your energy with the UK, and not only. So you've been in the UK for quite a long time now. It's been 5 years. And what was the one of the most surprising moments for you as an Azerbaijani Congolese moving to the UK? And what are the most interesting cultural moments that you find interesting to find out about?
So I'd say diversity was a big
Diversity.
one. So when I moved, obviously, growing up in Azerbaijan, Azerbaijan is a predominantly white country, white Caucasian people live there. So growing up in that environment, I didn't see many people that looked like me. But when I came here, when I moved here, I'd say there's so many different people with different backgrounds, nationalities, ethnicities, and it just was really interesting to meet these people at university. Like I had course mates who were from India, who were from China, who were from Georgia, and just to have them all in one place is just like amazing.
Isn't that great that UK, especially London and the other big cities as Manchester, Liverpool, Birmingham, they are really multinational and international, because I feel like people come from all over the world as us to take something and learn something, and also one day to take that back to their country, because London as a capital is not just the capital of UK. London is one of the fast growing cities in the world. So I think all of us, we actually on a similar mission, like to improve ourselves, improve our knowledge, and then take the best from it and adapt under ourselves. So,
Yeah.
but You said that, yeah, Azerbaijan is mostly about white Caucasians. As I understand, you've always felt welcome in Azerbaijan, even though you are mixed heritage and we don't have that many mixed heritage people in Azerbaijan. What was the life when you were growing up as a child with two different race parents, with two parents from different races and different cultures, not only races, different traditions? So what was it like to grow up as a mixed heritage young girl in Baku?
I definitely say being mixed, I'm blessed to have to get to experience both of the cultures, to have my mom who's Azerbaijani, but also my dad who's Congolese, and they're both so different and unique in their own way. At first, I went to an international school.
In
For,
Baku.
yeah,
Okay.
I went to an international school for primary school, and then in third grade, I transferred to a public school.
Okay. So public school in Baku, and how was that experience like?
Yeah, so obviously you can imagine it was in an international school. You know, there were black kids, Asian kids, white kids. It was a
The
pretty diverse
expats.
environment.
Yeah.
Yeah. But when I finally, and we all spoke in English,
Yeah.
but when I went to this public school, I was the only one who was mixed, who was colored.
Okay.
And
That's really interesting experience.
yeah, and I'd say overall my experience was very positive. Like looking back to those memories, I cherish them, and whenever I think about them, like my heart just goes warm.
At the public school, because so just to clarify, Ifra went in Baku to like from international school where there is mostly kids of mixed race families, expats, to a local school which has obviously Azerbaijani people
Yeah.
born there with as both Azerbaijani parents.
Yeah.
But what I what I like to hear is that you've been actually always loved and welcomed there. It was never no place for criticize and like critics. Like
Yeah.
that's amazing to hear because I feel like so I'm from Azerbaijan. I think I don't need to say this again. I mean everyone knows, but it just I don't think like we are experiencing as a country anything serious in this topic, but just as you said, because it's a white Caucasian country and like big part of population is white Caucasian, it might be just sometimes for kids especially different to see a new race, especially for the kids who haven't traveled abroad, haven't traveled outside of Azerbaijan.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is also great experience for them to experience someone not like them, someone who brings a new culture on the table.
Yeah.
And I think your class is extremely lucky enough.
Yeah, definitely. Because I came to this. I transferred to the public school in third grade, and I remember vividly the feelings that I felt when I came into the class. And mind you, again, I spoke in English. My Russian, it was a Russian section. I was in Russian section
At school.
Yeah, at school, and my Russian wasn't that good, so it wasn't on that good level. So I started off just speaking English, you know, and like some words in Russian, but you would see those faces of those kids. They were just so like intrigued and surprised, and everyone was just like so welcoming. They started talking to me, asking questions, and my classroom teacher was so understanding. She wasn't like, oh, how come you don't speak Russian? You know, she was trying to
Help.
to help with the transitioning and everything. So yeah, I'm very grateful for that.
That's so great to hear because I feel like it's always hard to change, and especially to change the language and the language barriers. And I think people always must get surprised when you speak Azerbaijani, Russian, English, and French. And I think it's a really interesting combination of languages to have,
And Turkish.
and Turkish to have. It's 5 languages. And what was the experience like when they heard you speaking fluent Azerbaijani?
Well, I think the first reaction they have is that you actually speak Azerbaijani, like it's shock.
I know. I
for
can
people.
imagine. I remember even like we went to somewhere here to his Ayfra, and people were surprised because you have such a interesting and beautiful look. It's
Thank
not
you.
easily detected that you have the Azerbaijani heritage.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you see you such a beautiful lady, it's a pleasure for like for me, for everyone to detect that Azerbaijani root there, because I think it adds its own touch and makes you look extremely fabulous as you are.
Oh, thank you so much.
So you were born and raised in Baku in Azerbaijan. Uh, we, you are an Azerbaijani. And what makes Azerbaijan special to you? And how would you describe Azerbaijan to someone who's never been there?
Okay, so I'd say we're so lucky that we have such a rich history, culture. I mean, our art, our carpets, our cuisine, our food. Don't even get me started on the food. I mean, dolma, kebab, uh, kutab, doga.
We have 9 climate zones in Azerbaijan as well,
Yeah, that
and
as well. It's
lots of stuff.
not every country has that.
No,
And we're really lucky to experience all the seasons. The fact that we
over.
have mountains, the countryside is just beautiful.
Beautiful.
Not only the city, Baku, but also the countryside, the mountains. We have ski resorts, the beaches. I mean, there will be something for everyone.
100%. Everyone can find a piece of them in Azerbaijan. Like that's why
Yeah.
we are really famous for our hospitality, because we love to not just to have them, but we also like to make sure the person who is coming to experience all the given opportunities in Azerbaijan will also feel love and also feel the warmth from us. And I think we have that in our genetics to greet and meet people in the best way we can. And then the combination of all the assets we've got, and plus our personalities and our cultural culture part there, which is hospitality, it just gives a unique experience to every single person visiting it. And I would say even unforgettable, because I have a bunch of friends coming to Azerbaijan and they still keep speaking about it loudly all the time we meet. So Ifra, how has your perception of Azerbaijan have changed since you've moved to UK? And do you see your hometown and country differently now?
I'd say definitely whoever goes abroad, um, because you're faced with so many new people, as I said before, and also like new experiences. If you like it or not, your mindset changes, your perspectives change on things. And one of the things I'd say that I started valuing more and not taking it for granted is, again, as I said, how rich our culture is, our traditions. And I'd say the support that I get from my family that is back home. Like sometimes it's when you move abroad, obviously here I'm by myself, so it all falls on my shoulders.
Of course.
But when you're back home with your family, you have your family with you, and it's just like a 10-minute ride or something, and you can go to them for advice. And no matter what, family is always going to be with you. And like people come and go, but family stays. That's definitely one thing
That's amazing. So, as I understand, you start to actually, you always valued, but you understand how strongly it needs to be valued, the support and the love and the care we get from the love people, which we call family.
Yeah, and also how in Azerbaijan, how much we value family and family relationships.
Oh,
So
that's true. That's very true.
because not everyone, not in other parts of world, it might be different, but in Azerbaijan we pride ourselves in being close with our family members, in being there for each other, supporting each other. So I think that's a great thing that we have about Azerbaijan.
That's amazing, but yeah, and I feel like that's what actually makes this us similar and not foreigner in the UK, because I feel like UK is a country, England is a country which values family traditions as high as we are as well. And what I felt here personally myself, I also felt always loved and taken care of from all my British friends, Scottish friends, Welsh friends, Irish friends. And I think that's a really common quality between these two countries, and that's the bridge between the cultures. So, Ifra, many people always think how is it to live abroad out of Azerbaijan, but at the end of the day, most people go abroad to learn and develop themselves, but also to help in the progress of the country. What is your goal, your personal goal, your career? What are your ambitions in the UK? What would you like to do, and how do you see your life? And what are your, I mean, it's a strong word, plans, but what would be your dream?
Well, I'd say I'm 22 right now, and I'm very ambitious. Like I have big goals, big dreams, and it's partly I'd say because of my parents, because they planted that seed in me that you're going to do great things. I mean, you're going to get great education, and obviously I came to UK with that goal to get study at university. So I did my bachelor's in media and communication, and then I did my master's in marketing. And I want to continue in the marketing industry. So right now, as Mariam said, there are some ideas, there are some behind the scenes that are going about a possible startup that's related to marketing, and uh, hopefully everything goes according to plan. Yeah.
Fingers crossed. And that's going to be your way as a half Azerbaijani to represent us as well here in the market. And I think that also like probably plays a role to show that uh, show ourselves, like show your characteristics as a person, show characteristic of your family. Like I feel like we choose most of the time the work, the career, the ambitions, also not just only obviously our personal goals, but also to share where we are coming from. And I think that's always important to build the bridges between. And I feel like you're doing great in that, because also for people, it's really important here in the UK to work with diverse people, to work with people from all over the world. And it's just really interesting to see and watch your journey now. And I hope next time when we have this interview, we're going to speak about the realized plan, which went really well, which I have no doubt about.
I'd say also another thing is that I'd like to, obviously, I know I'm fortunate enough, you know, my parents provided me with good education and, you know, they sponsored me basically. But I'm also fully aware that not everyone has that opportunity. So I'd say another goal of mine would be to support those who are less fortunate and uh, who want to study abroad, who want to work abroad, and I would love to be that bridge between Azerbaijan and UK to give more people opportunities like that.
That's amazing, and I think that's probably a great ambition to have while you're building career. Actually, the goal at the end also to help young people to also experience the experience of studying abroad if they want.
Yeah.
And obviously, after to it's all about giving back.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I feel like this sentence shows how strongly you give back to our community in Azerbaijan and how strongly you support the young, talented, and great girls and boys living there and thinking of different plans for their future. So my next question is, obviously, as guys, you know, I'm going to repeat it one more time. Ayfra is half Azerbaijani and half Congolese, which is one of the, probably you are one of the 10 people in the world that are like that. And that's a really, I always told her that that's a really, really unique mix. I mean, I don't think I would ever again meet Azerbaijani Congolese unless it's not going to be your kids. And I live by, as I know that you live in the UK, you probably might have the kids. I mean, I never know, but it's going to be even more mixed maybe in future. I don't know if you're planning to have one, but in any case, I would like to say that. So, what are the cultural aspects? So your parents live together in Azerbaijan. Your dad moved from Congo to Baku, and as I know, he used to teach when he was young in Azerbaijan, back in
He
the
still teaches.
still
Yeah.
teaches back in the Soviet Union,
Yeah.
like when it was just collapsed. And you've grown up in Baku with a Congolese dad and Azerbaijani mom. How was that? Because I think it's probably different approach to maybe some cultural parts. And my question is like, how was life in Azerbaijan growing up with two parents from different cultures?
I obviously grew up in Azerbaijan. I was in that environment. So I was even like childhood. There's this memory. So when I was little, I feel like we are one of the last generations who had like a, like a technology free childhood.
For a couple of years.
Yeah, yeah. And I remember I would always, after school when I was young, we would have like a block. And it was like a secluded area, a secluded safe area. And every time, whenever we get back from school or from kindergarten, we would go out on the street and play with the neighbors' kids. And we would play games like Klasiki, Gizdampaç, Ortada Kaldı. Those are like top ones that I loved playing back then. And I'd say, yeah, that also, um, the traditions that we have, like Novruz Bayramı, for example, how we have the bonfire and we jump over it.
And throw the caps on the
Yeah, throw the
doors.
caps under the doors and knock and then run away
Yes.
to put like the treats in. I mean, all of that, I'm just super grateful to have to get to experience that. And I love your contact with your nana. My nana had, I love my nana, and my nana had a big impact, I would say.
You.
She's, yeah, on me. She's a poet.
Okay.
So she, all the time, when I would go and visit her, she would teach me about from religion to art and mugham, our national music. She would play it on the TV and be like, Ifra, listen, this is our national music. And if anything, I'd say more than my mom and dad, I'm grateful for my nana. And that
Azerbaijani,
yeah,
right?
yeah, my mom's
Just
mom.
we want to
My
make
mom's
sure.
mom, yeah. That she grew this patriotism in
In you.
in me, and I'm like super grateful for that.
I have a question on this note. So, what is your favorite Azerbaijani poem?
Poem,
I mean, we can use
of course,
Nana's.
my
Yeah.
grandma's, yes.
But Nana means grandma in Azerbaijani, and it's a really sweet way and sweet sounded word for me
Yeah.
personally.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
So, she been writing poems in Azerbaijani probably she been since she's been young.
Yeah.
And what's her like favorite poem of yours?
Well, she actually has a poem dedicated to me.
Okay.
But I don't know it by heart.
No, it's
unfortunately.
absolutely understandable. It's just that it's such a nice feeling that you have a dedicated poem to you, and this shows. I think it's a great way to show also where this strength and this strong mindset as an Azerbaijani woman comes to you. I mean, I guess there is a strong ones also
Behind,
right?
yes,
And,
definitely.
And what about your dad? What was his impact? Like, obviously he moved first, right? And that's how he passed his race to you and his heritage to you. But you've been living with him in Azerbaijan, and what was the impact of his in Azerbaijan? How he kept sharing with you his Congolese roots by living in Baku?
Yeah, so my dad moved to Azerbaijan when it was still part of Soviet Union in the 90s. And he came here first for education.
He studied himself.
He studied, yes.
Yeah.
He studied at university. He did a PhD. And in university they met. My mom and my dad met at university.
In the early 2000s, they meet there. Your dad is this boy traveling overseas, and your
Yeah.
mom is in a young, beautiful,
She was
talented,
actually
smart.
one of his students.
Okay, that's even more
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, so he was tutoring.
So he started immediately to tutor after he finished, or while he was still doing his PhD.
After.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was tutoring, and my mom is an architecture designers, and my dad is was doing engineering,
Okay.
construction engineering.
Yeah.
So that's how he was tutoring her, and that's how they met. I'd say my dad, he's a very driven person, and I'd say he was always passionate. He always had big goals, big dreams, and he has achieved a lot of things. And I think my drive partly comes from my dad and the way he thinks, the way, like, you just tell him, like, give me an idea for a business, give me an idea for like essay topic, he will give you 30, 40 ideas. I mean, this person is just like a robot that just gives ChatGPT, like gives.
You've grown up with ChatGPT. That's why it's like AI doesn't surprise you probably now.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
amazing.
And I'd say one of the dishes he makes, my dad cooks, and one of the dishes he makes is I believe it's called fufu, and
It's Congolese.
yeah,
Okay.
it's Congolese. It's fufu, and we eat it with a special bean sauce. And whenever he makes it, I mean, it's just amazing.
That sounds so good. I never tried, but when I come to Baku, if you guys like to invite me, I wouldn't be against.
Yes,
But
we'd
it's
love
probably
to.
an interesting table of food as well. You probably have the plov and then how is that the name?
Fufu.
Fufu.
Yeah.
On the same table.
Yeah.
And that's the beautiful part of being probably the mixed heritage child, because you have to and you just experience both, and that makes even your vision more expanded
definitely.
than others. You are just born with a expansion, like expanded vision to the world. That's great. So that's amazing to hear. And also, as I know, like your dad speaks both languages in Azerbaijan, right? And he understands the languages, Azerbaijani, Russian. That's amazing. And so, how did you learn French? Is that from your dad, or it was your personal ambition?
Yeah, so actually in Congo they speak French.
Okay.
They have their own language, but also they speak French.
As in most of the countries, the French, French is I think it's one
It
of
was
the
a
most
French colony,
right?
that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
That's why, yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously my dad speaks French, and also my mom, she studied abroad in France
Okay.
for some time. So
Before or after she met your dad?
it was before.
So and then she moved back from France. Okay.
Yeah. And so obviously my parents would speak like between each other in French.
Okay. Wow. And probably it's like a mix. It's a new language mix of Azerbaijani, Russian, French, and English.
Yeah.
Right?
So I grew up in the environment where it was a multilingual family, and I always say this. It's just amazing how I know how difficult it is to learn languages, especially when you're like older. So to be able to grow up in that environment where my parents speak so many different languages. I mean, Russian, Azerbaijani, Turkish, French, English, and I'm just super blessed.
So, Ifra, as a person living in London with a mixed identity, has it changed your, like, how you perceive yourself? And what are the people, like the people that you meet here, what are their reaction when they hear about this unique story of you and about this two interesting and fulfilled heritage that you've been raised with?
Well, I think again, as I said, London is a very, and the UK in general is a very diverse
Yeah.
place. So, if we go somewhere there, we'll see another, mixed person.
Of course.
So I'd say one thing that shocks a lot of people is to do with the languages.
The five
The
languages.
five
that you know.
languages that I know, every single time it gets a reaction. And I think this is another thing that we as Azerbaijani people
So lucky.
must be proud of, because
So proud.
I mean here
People just speak English.
people speak English, and that's enough.
That's enough.
That's
Here, that's
enough.
enough. Yeah.
But in Azerbaijan, most people are bilingual
Mostly.
or even multilingual.
100%.
You know, we know Azerbaijani, we know Russian,
Turkish.
Turkish, English,
like,
and maybe another language,
and maybe the
Spanish,
fifth
French.
language. Yeah. You can always choose from foreign language.
And for us, growing up, it's normal.
yeah.
It's completely normal. Oh yeah, we speak in this language, in that language. But when I came here, I saw how it's such a unique and such a benefit
To have
to
in life.
have in life. So I'd say that's definitely one of the things.
Oh, that's super cool. I think that you are so right about what you mentioned. We are, as a country, we are so lucky by knowing so many languages. And as we come to the end, I would like to ask your advice and like what's the final thought that you'd like to share with the audience, because now we are have this show is not just for Azerbaijani audience. We are sharing our people with the world, and we are sharing our voice with the world as an Azerbaijanis. And as a fellow Azerbaijani, what would you advise to young people, especially watching us from all over the world, from different heritage, different identities, who are probably maybe also mixed race, like if they could relate, or if they're not, what would you advise them in life at this stage, at this age? And what would you say as a 22-year-old strong-minded girl, woman, female to them?
I'd say definitely I'd want to raise awareness with people with mixed heritage in countries like Azerbaijan. I feel like for me, I would definitely benefit if I saw more people, if it was more represented, and I'd see more people that look like me. I'd feel more seen. And I think with doing this interview, again, thank you for this opportunity. And I definitely would love to, share my story. I'm doing that now, and I definitely would like to raise awareness that yes, I'm Azerbaijani. I'm unusual type.
But just by
Azerbaijani.
look, even accent is more stronger than most of Azerbaijanis.
Yes.
Like when you speak, of course, like
Thank you.
when you speak English, you speak with Azerbaijani accent, like with the, not Azerbaijani, with the Azerbaijani dialect. Like you have that in your voice. I can hear that. I think the only unusual part is great parents from different heritage and your unique and beautiful look. But
Thank you.
nothing else makes you less or more Azerbaijani. You are, I would say, even more than most of. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'd also say that because we're used to the mixed heritage where it's half Azerbaijani, half Ukrainian, half Azerbaijani, half Turkish, but we don't see many half Azerbaijani, half Congolese. So
or many others. Like there's like not just Congolese,
half
like
Azerbaijan,
so
half
many,
Chinese.
right?
Yeah.
And they exist.
And they exist.
They
and
are there.
I'm here to say that we exist. It's normal, and we are Azerbaijani. I am Azerbaijani. So yeah.
I would like to say that as well, as it's my show and as I'm supporting like all the rates, that my channel is open for everyone, and we are living in a time where races cannot be a topic on the table anymore. And I think as a country, we've heard, been really welcoming, and also this is maybe not maybe these people who are mixed race, they're not loud on social platforms for some reasons. Maybe just some people don't want to be public.
Yeah.
But we want to say that every kind of person exists in the world. I'm sure that if there is a British Jamaican, there is Congolese Azerbaijani. If there is Congolese Azerbaijani, there is French Chinese. So race is just something that we are gifted with from our parents.
And it's beautiful.
It's beautiful, and I invite everyone who is watching from all over the world to accept all the races and accept people not by the even race, but just how they are. That's what makes them true themselves. And the heritage, the roots, it's just the top, uh, it's like a top up to everything else that they got.
I'd also want to give advice to fellow viewers who are my age or older, younger, that who want to, you know, study abroad, move abroad. I'd say definitely be sure if you want to, but anyone can move abroad. But it's the question of if you will make it. And that is the most important thing. I feel like if you don't have the drive, the passion, the ambition, you can get in, but will you go through with it?
100%.
And I think
Purpose.
that is purpose is the most important thing in this, because in London, it's like Hunger Games, and everyone is going to fight. And if you want to live in a city like that,
You're gonna
you have to, yeah, you're gonna fight, and you have to fight for what's yours, and to make a name for yourself.
And obviously, exactly, and always never forget what your purpose is. And
Yeah.
always go for it. Thank you, Ifra. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for everything. I'd like to finish this note as I said before, I'm an Azerbaijani, and I'm an Azerbaijani who supports all the races. I'm an Azerbaijani who accepts all the people. I'm an Azerbaijani who never ever would discriminate anyone by heritage, by the color or any other aspect. And we all Azerbaijanis, we are like that. And we are supporting people just for truly who they are. And as Azerbaijanis living in the UK, we are here to show and just share an example of us and our stories. And I'm sure there are so many other great stories, but the capacity of the show cannot take all, unfortunately. So I will keep sharing my guests and, as I said, invite everyone to just accept people, because that's what world is about: accepting others
Yeah.
and accepting people for who truly they are and appreciate them. So that's my message for our world audience, and I would say that this is a unique story. This is a great story. This is a great,
Thank you.
great person and great bright future. So I think everything in complex just makes you fabulous, amazing,
Thank you
and
so much.
outstanding in the world. And I hope you keep shining bright and following your purpose and never forgetting where you're coming from, which I know that's, I think, one of your main goals in life, to also bring your roots into the table, right?
Yeah.
So that's mine as well, and I think that's why that's what important, to support the community in London, and that's how we met. And thank you so much. And guys, let's get united, let's support each other, love each other, and share each other. We are all Azerbaijanis, and
Thank you for having
yeah,
me.
yeah, all Azerbaijanis look different. Not
Yes.
we if we sit on the same table, we all have a completely different look. So thank you so much for coming, and thank you so much for sharing this story. I think it's really interesting for people to see someone like you, and just to normalize it. And for other mixed race kids, it's a great push to share their stories as well, because
Yeah.
you gotta share
Definitely.
with the world. It's interesting, it's fun, it's unique, and it's just engaging to hear personally for me. And it makes me to think about how many more people we have like that in the world, because we are all over the world.
Yeah.
So have a great day, and thank you guys so much for watching the show. It was the first episode of Meet the Interesting Azerbaijani in UK. I have very interesting Azerbaijani in the UK, but there are more to come, and I'm so excited to interview and speak about more interesting and other interesting topics with my upcoming guests. Thank
Thank
you.
you for having me. Thank
Welcome.
you.